So welcome back to Return of the Sex Guru. We made some posts with Anandi a couple of months back and asked the general public had they any questions that they would like to ask her, and we got great engagement. So we did it again. So Return of the Mac, Return of the Sex Guru. So Anandi, I'm going to ask you some questions, and yeah, over to you.
I hope there are no squirty questions this time.
No squirty questions this time. No, okay. No. So the first question is, what should you do when your partner wants sex more often than you?
Oh, that's pretty typical actually. It's one of the most common things that people come to counselling or are presented within relationship counselling and also in psychosexual therapy. And it's the people with the lower libido who always come along and say, well, look, I don't want it as often as my partner does. If you think of it like appetite, any kind of appetite, there's always a difference in appetite. I don't think I've ever met any singular couple whose appetite, sexual desire, motivation to have sex or engage sexually is the same. So generally it's referred to as disparity of desire, and it's very, very, very usual. We've never had anybody coming to say my partner wants more sex than I do and they have a problem. It's always the one who doesn't want it as often that's seen to be problematic. But you know, it's really about creating the conditions for some kind of sexual intimacy to happen. So creating the conditions within the relationship. And if someone doesn't want to have intercourse 5 times a week or 3 times a week, there is some kind of balance. But what generally tends to happen when one partner wants more than the other is that there's this gap that opens up. So the partner who doesn't want it as much then starts to drift away from just general kind of touching, no hugging and stuff, because they're afraid that they're going to give the other person
the signal.
Yeah. And then the other person then is feeling more kind of in some ways abandoned and rejected, and so they kind of pursue. So you get this kind of thing going on, and the only time they touch is when there's going to be intercourse. But there's a negotiation, like with everything, you know. Do you want steak? Do you not want steak? And not every time when you go out to for a meal, do you have to have steak
or dessert.
So you can have people can negotiate what they're willing to do, and sometimes it's just a massage. Sometimes it's hugging and kissing. Sometimes it's all of what you might do with foreplay. Sometimes it includes intercourse, but not every time does that have to happen. So it's a negotiation, but there's nothing wrong if you don't want to have sexual intimacy as often as your partner.
But it's really about communication.
It's about communication and also expectation. You know, nobody ever died of masturbation, as far as I know. As far as I know, to qualify that.
Okay, next question. Can non-monogamy be part of a healthy couple relationship?
Oh yeah. Again, it depends on what both people want. Yeah, if only one of you wants a non-monogamous relationship and the other person is just kind of going along with it in order to kind of placate or make sure they don't lose the other person, it never works, you know, because one person always feels like they're being kind of cajoled, coerced, forced into doing something. Yeah.
Okay, but what happens if you think that you want this? And then when the other partner or the other person's introduced into the relationship, then you realise this was a really bad idea. It might have been okay in fantasy, but the reality of it is very
different. And that does happen. And again, it's about negotiations. If both of you decide to enter into that world, that's fine. And if it works for you, that's fine. People tend to have rules with it, as in, you know, you don't do something without the other person, or you can go and you can date whoever, but you don't tell. So it depends on what the conversation is, and if you find that it isn't working for you, then you stop. Again, with negotiation. But if only one person wants to stop and the other person wants to continue, again, you know, all this stuff is about what do those two people want for their relationship. we get people coming to relationship counselling because they've entered into this and then they've found that it's really messed up their relationship because they've found out that somebody's jealous.
Or they feel insecure, or
and they didn't expect that, so yeah.
Next question. So someone has asked us, I would like to know the reason or reasons why or how interest in intimacy seems to wane as people age.
How long is a piece of string? So do they mean intimacy as in emotional connection, or do they mean interest in sex? So if you mean, so we take those two things separately. If you mean emotional intimacy, so emotional connection, then that's a little bit tricky because you have to look at what's going on in the couple relationship. If you're talking about sexual intimacy, so as in your willingness to engage, your motivation to engage, there are a whole raft of reasons for that. And it's actually really, really natural that it changes because people at the beginning of a relationship, there tends to be lots and lots of body connection and touching and sex. And then as you go through the relationship and you have children maybe, and then you have another child, the priorities shift, the time certainly shifts, and the energy levels shift. Illness affects that, life stages affect that.
Menopause.
So menopause is one big one. Lifestyle affects it also, so alcoholism, drug taking, employment, shift work. There's loads of stuff that impact sexual motivation.
And even the time and the energy and all those other things.
And we would find that even if the sexual connection was there lots earlier on, and it's not so much there as people get older, it's still there, and it actually can be really good quality. So because you're not, say, having intercourse twice a week, you're having it once a fortnight, it can still be a really, really good once a fortnight because maybe you set the time aside, you take your time.
So it's not quantity, it's quality.
Yeah, always, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. It's one of those things that it's very, very common. So I don't know of any couple who still have the same quantity of sex if they've been together after, say, 30 years. And that might seem a long shot, 30 years, or even 10 years, because stuff changes.
But the quality can be
much better because you've learned more about each other, you've been open to new things, how you see yourself and your partner shifts. Yeah.
Okay, next question. Women often don't reach orgasm as quickly as men. What can be done to be equal in that respect?
Equal?
Yes.
So you want to be 2 minutes?
30 seconds.
30 seconds
with a sleep. Yeah.
Do women want to be premature ejaculate? That's actually quite unfair of guys. Sorry, guys. I don't quite understand the use of the word equal.
My presumption would be reading this question that this is from a woman whose husband partner finds it very easy, heterosexual, finds it very easy to have an orgasm, and then he might lose interest in her reaching orgasm because he's already orgasmed. So I think so women often don't reach orgasm as quickly as men. That's telling me he's going first. What can be done to be equal in that respect?
Right, I'm not sure you can really require, or how realistic it is to require your physiology to have some kind of equality. My understanding of equality is about behavior and how you treat other people and the considerations that you have. Okay. A lot of couples develop a pattern in their sexual life of women first, guys second.
Unless you reach the ultimate.
Well,
Sexual
you mean
orgasm.
the Hollywood sex?
The Hollywood
sex
sex.
of where do you go together? Right. The Hollywood, and it only happens in, not Hollywood, Northern Ireland, by the way, Hollywood, United States of America, because it only happens in the movies. You know, so I think women's physiology is different to male physiology. Really good quality foreplay, knowing how your body works, knowing how to share that information with your partner. Those are all really useful things. But to put an expectation on yourself that you should be at the same pace as your partner it's pressure where there doesn't need to be pressure. You're trying to jump through a hoop where there shouldn't be a hoop. I'd say just take your time, get to know yourself, share that information with your partner, and
try not to leave anybody high and dry.
Yeah. High and dry. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, equality. I mean, some women orgasm, very few women orgasm directly with intercourse. Some women do, but most don't. All the research shows it's something like 4 out of 100. Don't quote me on that statistic, but it's very, very few. And it takes a fair bit of rhythm and stuff and time. So if you're talking about equality, maybe he should last longer as opposed to you speeding up. And then most women will reach climax pretty quickly, pretty effectively with direct clitoral stimulation. Yeah. Or some kind of combination. But really just kind of get together, skin to skin.
Yeah.
And
what we said earlier when we were chatting just before we come on video about lesbian relationships and their quality of orgasm.
Oh yes, yeah, there was some horrible phrase I came across a while back called lesbian deathbed syndrome. Horrible phrase. And it kind of indicates, it was sort of directed at lesbian relationships to say there's not a whole lot of sex that happens in those relationships. And it was a bit mean, I thought, because sex dwindles, the frequency of sex dwindles in every relationship. Gay relationships, whether it's men on men, women on women, or heterosexual relationships. And it's a bit unfair to just kind of pin it to lesbians.
Yeah.
But libido differs in lesbian relationships between those people, so this disparity of desire. It's the same as any other relationship. But here's the nice thing. There's other research, much better research, bigger research, that shows that lesbian couples tend to have better quality climax than their heterosexual female counterparts.
Okay.
So lesbian women are having better orgasms than their female heterosexual counterparts.
And do we know why?
Timing.
Timing.
They take their time.
Yeah.
They take their time. Yeah. And it's not all about penetration.
Of course it's not.
And it doesn't have to be, even with heterosexual couples. Yeah.
Okay, next question, Anandi. We struggle to be intimate. How can we relight the spark?
Washing machine. The vibration. I think the use of the word intimate. So again, this is a really, really common thing that couples come to both psychosexual therapy and relationship counseling with as a presenting issue. So you have to, I think, look at the general intimacy within the couple relationship. So how the emotional connection, all the other connections within the relationship, and what's actually going on that blocks a physical, what's the word I'm looking for? What's blocking physical touch? There's small intimacies within a relationship that tend to dissipate whenever stuff isn't right in the relationship, like just small things like the way you walk behind someone and you run your hand over their back or through their hair, or just gently kiss them. nothing passionate. Church kisses is what one couple called it. Just how you talk to each other, how much time you're making for each other. Do you have actual couple time, or are your kids running in and out of the bedroom? Do you sleep with the cat and the dog on the bedroom and like a bolster in between the two of you?
With the TV blaring.
With the TV blaring, and you're all looking at your phone. So
Yeah.
you'd have to, if that was something as a presenting issue in the room, I would want to look at what is going on in the relationship as a whole. If the general intimacy is okay and you've just kind of got out of the way of physical contact, then you have to make time for it. And it's not making time for sex, it's making time for physical contact. So you start gently, like maybe you have a shower together, if your shower unit can accommodate two people, or you just lie close to each other, naked. You don't do anything else, but you're feeling somebody else's skin and their body warmth, and it's just taking it a little step at a time so you refamiliarize yourself with the other person. Yeah.
Next question then, how can I address my self-esteem issues that are affecting our sex life?
Ooh, that's a big one. Quite a general one, really. Well, some of the self-esteem presenting issues in the room would be body weight.
Yeah.
That's a really, really common one. I think if you're not happy with your body weight, then you have to do something about it. Coming to therapy can help you to accept the type of person you are, weight or not weight, but it can't help you to lose weight. It might help to encourage you to do some of the things you want to do, but we can't make you do stuff. But the other thing is, it depends on why what is actually impacting your self-esteem. So it's actually quite a big question.
Yeah.
But there are so many things, again, health. When people have cancer, for example, that impacts their self-image, everything.
Yeah.
So we'd have people post-cancer treatment with self-esteem issues. Yeah.
Okay. Last one then. Can you offer any advice on how to address my partner using porn often?
Oops.
So it says my partner, it doesn't say us.
Yeah. Okay, so first thing I'm thinking is, who is it a problem for and why is it a problem? So is it that you don't mind your partner using porn overall? It's just the frequency? Is it having an impact on how you engage sexually with each other? And if it does, then that's where it becomes problematic. So just say, for example, we've had people come to with this porn thing and they're not able to perform sexually because, well, they don't have the energy because they're too busy wanking to porn,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So if that's the case, then that's impacting the couple relationship. If he's looking at some kind of fantasy woman, with the porn, and porn is fantasy,
Yeah.
and his partner doesn't look like that, and I'm talking about heterosexual partner here, she might feel, rejected, not good enough, all of those things. And I can understand that, but you got to realize it is fantasy, and a lot of the time what we want as fantasy, we don't actually want to enact. So it depends on why the porn is an issue.
But certainly if it's impacting the
If it's
intimate
impacting the
relationship.
couple relationship,
Yeah.
then that has to be tackled.
Yeah.
And how do you talk about it? You have to just bring it out in the open. Because if that person knows that their partner's watching porn, it's obviously not a secret.
But they're not watching it with them.
No, they're not watching it with
So
them.
it's a single
exercise.
Yeah.
And again, it's a bit like masturbation. A lot of people masturbate within a couple relationship, but they don't necessarily want their partner to know. And it's a solo activity because you just kind of do your own thing. You don't have to consider somebody else.
But that partner knows.
The partner knows.
The partner knows that the other partner's using.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
So it depends on how this is impacting the couple relationship. Yeah.
Okay. Great, that's us. So that's our return of the sex curry. If you have any more questions, please feel free to post them on social media, get in contact with us, and we will engage our sex curry again in some conversations. So
That will
thank
be
you,
the
Anandi.
return of the return of the
Return of the sex curry.